The football world keeps waiting for Morocco to disappear, waiting for the magic to fade, waiting for reality to return. Because that's how football usually works. A smaller nation rises, shocks the world, creates a few unforgettable moments, and then slowly drifts back into the shadows while the traditional giants reclaim their throne. That's the pattern. That's the history. That's the expectation. But Morocco never followed the script, and that's exactly why the 2026 World Cup has a serious Morocco problem. Because what if Qatar wasn't a miracle? What if it was a preview? What if the greatest achievement in African football history wasn't the peak, but the beginning? 4 years ago, Morocco arrived at the World Cup with almost no expectations. Most people expected them to fight hard, maybe escape the group stage, and eventually lose to one of Europe's giants. After all, that's what always happens. The football aristocracy eventually takes over. The biggest nations always survive. The favorites always win. Except Morocco didn't care about football traditions. They came to destroy them. The first warning arrived against Belgium, a team packed with superstars: Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Thibaut Courtois, a generation many believed was capable of winning the World Cup. Instead, Morocco stole the spotlight. Suddenly, the outsiders looked like contenders. Then came Spain, a nation built on technical perfection, a team that could keep the ball for hours, a team filled with elite talent. Most people believed Morocco's adventure would end there. Instead, Morocco gave the world its first real shock. For 120 exhausting minutes, they refused to break. They defended every inch, fought for every ball, and when penalties arrived, they looked calmer than Spain. That wasn't luck, that was belief, and belief can be terrifying. But Morocco still wasn't finished, because waiting for them next was Portugal, a team overflowing with world-class talent. Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, João Felix, Brahim Diaz, and Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest footballers to ever live. The football world expected Portugal to continue their march toward glory. Morocco had other plans. When Youssef En-Nesyri rose above everyone and powered home the winning goal, football history changed forever. Portugal were gone. Ronaldo's dream was over. An entire continent erupted. And Morocco became the first African nation ever to reach a World Cup semi-final. It felt impossible. It felt historic. It felt like a once-in-a-lifetime story. And that's exactly why so many people dismissed it. They called it luck, a miracle, a perfect storm, a run that would never happen again. But here's the problem. The deeper you look at Morocco, the harder that argument becomes. Because miracles don't usually leave behind foundations. Morocco did. And those foundations are stronger today than they were in Qatar. Let's start with the man standing between the posts, Yassine Bounou, known to football fans simply as Bono. During the 2022 World Cup, he transformed from a great goalkeeper into a national icon. Every tournament has heroes. Morocco found theirs. Time after time, Bono produced saves that seemed impossible, and when pressure arrived, he became even better. The greatest tournament teams always have moments where they need somebody to save them. Morocco have one of the best shot stoppers on the planet. Then there's Achraf Hakimi, the face of modern Moroccan football. Fast, fearless, explosive. The type of player capable of changing an entire game with one run, one overlap, one moment, one piece of magic. Defenders hate facing him. Coaches hate planning against him. Because Hakimi doesn't just create danger, he creates panic. And when panic enters a football match, anything can happen. But Morocco's strength isn't one player, it's the collective. Noussair Mazraoui, Sofiane Amrabat, Azzedine Ounahi, Brahim Diaz, Youssef En-Nesyri. This isn't a team relying on a miracle anymore. This is a team packed with players performing at the highest levels of European football. And then comes the most dangerous part of all, the next generation. Because while many nations are desperately trying to rebuild, Morocco are adding fresh talent every year. Young stars are emerging, competition is increasing, the squad is becoming deeper, stronger, more complete. Which brings us to the terrifying question, what if Morocco are actually improving? Because if they are, the rest of the world should be worried, very worried. Then came the moment that reminded everyone why Morocco cannot be ignored, their World Cup clash with Brazil. 5-time world champions, football royalty, a nation feared across every continent. Most people expected Brazil to dominate. Instead, Morocco looked fearless. They attacked, pressed, created chances, and shocked the football world once again. When Ismail Saibari punished Brazil's defensive mistake and lifted the ball over Alisson Becker, silence spread through the stadium. Morocco had struck first. But what made the performance special wasn't the goal. It was what happened afterward. They didn't retreat, they didn't panic, they kept attacking, kept believing, kept fighting. For long stretches, they looked like the better team. Against Brazil, at a World Cup. That's not luck, that's not emotion, that's quality. Eventually, Vinicius Jr. produced a moment of brilliance to level the score, but the message had already been delivered. Morocco belong here, not as underdogs, not as outsiders, not as a fairy tale, as contenders, real contenders. And that's what makes them so dangerous heading into 2026. Because the Giants already know what Morocco can do. Belgium learned, Spain learned, Portugal learned, and Brazil learned. The rest of the football world keeps waiting for the story to end, waiting for Morocco to become ordinary again, waiting for the magic to disappear. But maybe ordinary is gone forever. Maybe the semifinal wasn't the peak. Maybe it was the introduction. Because when elite talent meets elite belief, something special happens. And Morocco now have both. Which leaves the football world facing one uncomfortable question. What if Qatar wasn't the miracle? What if 2026 is? Because if Morocco make another deep World Cup run, it won't be a surprise anymore. It'll be a warning that nobody listened to. And by then, it might already be too late.